I've transformed my physique more than 5 times in the last decade. Each and every single cut, it became easier and easier, and so easy that I also added Pro Natural Bodybuilder to my title. And in this video, I'm going to show you the one simple habit that helped me do it every single time. It's so simple, you're already doing it. You're just doing it wrong. And I was too for so many years. The simple habit I'm talking about is sleep. And if you're thinking of clicking off right now, it's probably why you're still watching videos like this. You're probably a hard worker, and when you see something easy, you think it's worthless. It's time you start working smart. It's the same conversation I had to have with my client Dominic at 60 years young. Same conversation I had to make with Dwayne, and when he said, "Mike, you're my last hope," I said, just listen. The same applied to Trish and Brent, a couple who transformed together, and Trish lost over 25 pounds, and so did Brent, and so can you. Let's dive straight in. Let's not waste any time. Number one, let's talk about the clarity of why. Why is sleeping so important? We know that if you're sleeping less, and I'm saying less than 6 hours, you can drop your testosterone by 30%. Testosterone is the number one hormone that is responsible and the most important hormone for building muscle in men and women. And if you're decreasing your testosterone, you're consequently decreasing your muscle mass. And muscle tissue is the most active tissue in the body that you need to burn calories even at rest. This can dictate the amount of fat that you can lose, and sleeping less doesn't allow you to be able to do that. The second thing is we know that it's so much harder to follow a diet, and this is why so many people yo-yo. And even recently, my weight has gone up because I've been so busy and sleeping less. I've had my company here in Malaysia for the last 2 weeks, and I've seen my weight creep up because of sleeping less, and this is the reason why. Research has shown that there's an increase in hedonic food stimulus. You want to eat more food naturally if you're sleeping less. So if you're finding it harder to stick to a diet than usual, you have more cravings than usual, it starts with sleep. And if we think about it, with losing fat, it's all about making the right decision, right? Do you eat this food or that food? It sometimes is that simple. But when you're sleeping less, your cravings for food increases. Research has also shown that leptin, the hormone that induces satiety, that feeling of fullness, decreases. So you're not feeling as full anymore when you're not sleeping enough. And ghrelin, the hormone that stimulates hunger, increases. So you have both of these things counteracting each other, and all of a sudden you're not feeling full and you're hungrier than usual. Research has also shown that you're more likely to eat highly palatable foods. So you may wonder, why do I have this desire to go and eat a burger? I just want a pizza over the weekend, and undo all the hard work you've done over the week. It starts and ends with sleep. And not only that, you also develop insulin resistance. All of a sudden, insulin doesn't function correctly. Insulin is responsible for transporting glucose into the correct cells. But when your insulin isn't working well, your body will just store all that glucose and convert it into fat. The same applies with cortisol. Cortisol is the opposite to testosterone. Cortisol will break down muscle, opposite to testosterone. Cortisol will actually store fat, and testosterone actually gives you energy. Cortisol takes away energy. So there's also an increase in cortisol when you're sleeping less. And not only that, we know that there's an increased risk of Alzheimer's, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes from sleeping less. So whenever I speak to a client, anybody who has ever come through my door, we address the root cause first, and it's always going to be sleep. We know if we can get the client to 7 to 8 hours, half of the battle is already done. So now you understand the clarity of why. If you've been yo-yoing, if you've been struggling to stick to a diet, if you've not been able to build enough muscle, it is very likely that we've not been paying attention to sleep. And I've said sleep, but we also need to pay attention to the quality of sleep. And this is why I say sleeping 7 to 8 hours can even get you from 25% to 15%. We've seen a lot with clients who are traveling and very busy. When they're at least sleeping 7 to 8 hours, they don't have a massive appetite, and they also make the right choices when it comes to food. So this is why I believe sleep can get you to those low single-digit body fats if you're just sleeping more. If you're someone who's tried everything, just focus on sleeping more. Keep it simple. And I find it so weird that no one talks about this enough. It's exactly like steps. People think that because it's too easy, it's worthless. But these are the basic foundational things you need to fix. And I've just talked about the more physical things you see. You feel so much better sleeping more. I wish I knew that I had to sleep more. Going through medical school And I wish I realized these things sooner, because I would have crushed everyone in terms of my grades if I had slept more. My ideas are fresher, I retain information better. And before I even continue, I know there will be people in the comments, you don't know what it's like to have kids, you don't know how busy I am, I have this. First of all, that's your problem. Second of all, there's always a solution to the problem. So the first thing I like to tell people who say that they have very little time, when you're functioning at 7 to 8 hours sleep, and you'll see me use car analogies a lot, your brain will be able to function faster. You'll be able to solve problems faster. You'll be more productive compared to when you're sleeping 5 to 6 hours. Your vehicle, your car is moving slower, so you're not as productive. You're not getting as much work done. What would take you 30 minutes is taking you an hour to do. And I realized this myself when I was sleeping less. So it is hard to make the swap of saying, damn, do I need to sacrifice everything I'm doing to sleep more? The answer is always yes, because you'll be more productive in your hours that you're awake. And I've learned this myself. I used to think it's impossible for me to do. My sister's in her final year of med school and she still doesn't take my advice. But I know if she sleeps more, she'll be able to learn so much more. So she'll be going 3 times, 4 times as fast. And then finally, yes, I do understand if you're having a newborn, it can be tough. The newborn's waking up at 3 a.m. But there are solutions to a problem. And I highly encourage that you always focus on the quality of your sleep. It is so important. Let's move on to step number 2. Now that we have the clarity of why sleep is so important, let's tackle the discipline of how. Number 1, I don't want you to set a wake-up time. I want you to set a bedtime alarm. What we need to start doing is setting our body in a routine to go to bed at the exact same time. As creatures, we're extremely habitual, and going to bed at the exact same time is going to be the first step in the dominoes to be able to see success with your fat loss and dropping that 25% to 15%. Is setting yourself a strict bedtime. And it's important that you stay disciplined with the how. So something I do, my alarm always goes off at 7:30 p.m. And that alarm is so that I can initiate my bedtime process, which I'm going to describe to you next. And I promise you, just doing this habit will help you get into that low 15s to 12% if you just do it correctly. But it starts with sleep. You won't follow the caloric deficit if you're not sleeping enough. So set yourself a bedtime and not a wake-up time. So if you plan on getting into bed and falling asleep by 9 p.m., I want you to set an alarm by 8 p.m., an hour earlier, for you to set your wind down time. And when my alarm goes off, I respect that alarm and I start initiating the process of going to bed. Something that I've also seen is encouraging my clients and encouraging my loved ones to consider themselves a professional sleeper. You want to glorify this role because it will dictate everything. So we've now set in motion what time you go to bed. And now I'm going to share with you the steps that you need to follow to be able to get into bed and fall asleep at the right time so you can get that 7 to 8 hours. Now, we're going to use a formula called 10-3-2-1. These are the next steps. The biggest issue I see with so many clients and so many people I've ever worked with over the last decade is caffeine. 10 hours before bed is the latest time you want to drink caffeine. For example, if you plan to fall asleep by 10 p.m., 10 hours before that should be the last time you consume caffeine, which is midday, 12 o'clock. That should be a hard cutoff. Why? Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours, which means if you drink your last cup of coffee at 12 o'clock, by 6 p.m., at least half of that coffee is still flowing around in your bloodstream. Therefore, it is important that you make sure you have 10 hours so that you can make sure that the caffeine isn't flowing in your bloodstream and preventing you from getting deep sleep. I hear a lot of the times, hey, Dr. Mike, my wife says the same. I don't get affected by caffeine going to bed. However, research has shown and science has proven that although you may be able to fall asleep with caffeine in your bloodstream, you still won't be getting quality sleep. The way I love describing sleep is thinking of someone who's going deep diving. You can fall asleep and you might get surface level, but quality sleep is for those divers who get very deep and to ocean level, right at the very bottom. And at the very bottom of the ocean is where the gold is at. This is where growth hormone is being produced. This is where testosterone is being produced. This is where all the systems in your body are being corrected. And going back to the car analogy, you need to think of sleep as you taking your Formula One car into the pit lane and it's being serviced, you're changing the tires, you're changing the oil, you're changing your brake fluids so that when you drive your Formula One car again in the morning, it's driving optimally, it's taking every corner the correct way, there's no oversteer or understeer, or you're not going to slip off the road. So making sure that you drink caffeine 10 hours before is so important, because this is what happens. It is a vicious cycle. So people, because they're feeling low energy, drink their cup of coffee at 3 p.m. They struggle to go to bed, they don't get enough energy, so then they wake up tired, and then they drink more coffee because they're feeling low energy because they didn't go to bed again. And then they end up falling in this vicious cycle of low energy, drink more coffee, low energy, drink more coffee. And this is one of the foundational problems I see with so many people, is that they're correcting their problem with what's causing the problem in the first place. So for a lot of you who have this issue, my first piece of advice to correct it is suck it up. First, stop drinking the coffee if you're feeling low energy and just go to bed. And it will take you about 3 days of going to bed and then finally feeling your natural energy come back. And again, we don't want to raise cortisol. Caffeine will also help doing that if you're drinking excessive amounts of caffeine. I also used to make the mistake in university where I'd drink 2 liters of Pepsi right before bed, and 3 months passed and I was like, I always sleep at 3 a.m. Maybe I'm like so motivated to study. No, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, all these products contain caffeine. So make sure you're not consuming any caffeine 10 hours prior to bed. Next step in the 10-3-2-1 method is 3 hours before bed, you want to consume your last meal. Now, like I mentioned, when you eat food, it is energy and your body breaks down the food, and you don't want to go to bed while your body's still working, breaking down food, putting all the components of the food in different areas. Your alimentary canal is still active. Your stomach, your liver, your GI system, all of those things are active. We want to go to bed with our entire body at rest. This is usually what we do foundationally with our clients, but as we progress, we start with this as step 1, and then we start adjusting in this 10-3-2-1 system. Some people need 11 hours before bed to have a good night's sleep, or even 12, but starting at 10 hours is a good method. The same with not having any meals 3 hours prior to bed. This way your entire gut is not active and it's primed for you to go to bed. 2 hours before bed in this 10-3-2-1 system, you want to stop drinking liquids. What I find a lot of the times is that a lot of my clients have interrupted sleep, and this sleep is interrupted because of all the liquids you're drinking prior to bed. So 2 hours before bed, you want no more liquids. This way you're not going to wake up to go to the toilet. You want a good night's sleep so that your body can go through these multiple sleep cycles, right? It's usually about 90 minutes. You want to go between 5 and 6 sleep cycles so that you can get the adequate amount of rest. And sleeping enough, you'll allow your body to produce the exact amount of testosterone, growth hormone, all the other hormones necessary for you to perform optimally the following day. This is extremely vital. And I want to just take a moment here. Let us know in the comment section down below. Am I right about sleeping 7 to 8 hours for your fat loss to be permanent? Or tell me if I'm wrong. Have you managed to lose fat permanently sleeping 6 hours? I want to know in the comment section down below, and it's up to you to share your side of the story. This way, people who will go down and read the comment section down below will say, you know what? Actually, this is the truth. Actually, I need to sleep, because it's one thing coming from me, but if everyone agrees or disagrees, it will allow the person to make a better decision. So let us know in the comments if you've been able to. And in my experience, yes, I've been able to get lean. I've gotten to like 12%, but it was so difficult. And the truth is, it also wasn't permanent. Those other transformations I did, I realized when I gained the fat back is when I was sleeping those 5 to 6 hours. And the same now, even when I had my team here, I was seeing my weight creep up because I was sleeping so little. Let me know in the comment section down below. And then finally, one, and I believe this is one of the biggest culprits for everybody. I call this blue light darkness. The TV screens, the lights in your eyes, the screen on your phone are all functioning as a sun. What do I mean? All these devices that you're looking at emit the same light that stops the sleepiness hormone from being produced. And that's exactly how our body works. It all functions on sunlight, and the blue light being emitted from the sun decreases the hormone called melatonin that gives us sleepiness. It provides the sleepiness hormone. So how do we correct this? Number one, with all your devices, you can put them on night mode, and you'll see that your phone produces a red hue and your computer, and this is decreasing all the blue light exposure. What I like doing as well around my entire apartment, I start switching off the lights. Also, what I've done is I've stopped taking melatonin, and I actually tell my clients to stop taking melatonin. It's fine to do, but what I'm doing instead, I'm wearing some blue light blocking glasses. These blue light blocking glasses prevent any more blue light entering my eyes. And this is also a pretty cool hack for my clients when they're traveling. When they're moving into a new time zone, I always tell them, start wearing your glasses once your alarm goes off according to the country that you want to fall asleep in. So you'll start noticing if you put on the blue light blocking glasses, you'll start feeling more sleepier, because this way your brain starts producing the sleepiness hormone. So if you are one of those people who are watching TV late at night with your family and you notice it's taking you a bit longer to go to bed, or you're not even thinking about bed because you're looking at your computer screen or the TV or all the lights are on, it's because your body is not producing the natural hormone called melatonin. So remove all blue light and stop using your phone and your computer 1 hour before. I also don't want you to be getting dopamine hits or also getting a stressful message 1 hour before bed. But what you can also do, what I do, is I put on my blue light blocking glasses. I look cool like the Terminator. This is one thing I do in my program. When my clients join, I get them one of these because it just sorts their sleep out altogether. And our main objective is to decrease and eliminate all blue light, but also promote darkness. And the final thing I want to add on this point is that when you go to bed, your room needs to be pitch dark. You need full blackout curtains so that your body can be primed to go to bed. Let's move on to the next step. And I add this to the 10-3-2-1 is called 0. We want to have a cold temperature. I always use 18 degrees, which if I'm not mistaken is roughly 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Research has shown that colder temperatures are optimal for your body to go to bed, and having a cold room just primes your body. Now, I do know women and men actually have different temperatures, right? You can think of it as different thermostats. So women may need slightly warm or slightly colder. And this is something me and my wife has done. It is very expensive, but it's been life-changing. We use an 8 sleep device, and basically it's a mattress cover that controls my body temperature and my wife's. And wow, my sleep has been so much better. Not affiliated with a company whatsoever, but my clients have had the same reaction. I just want to put it out here. If you're a busy professional, you've tried multiple times to lose weight, it's hurting your confidence, it's hurting your performance at your company or your business, you don't feel like yourself anymore, and you finally want to release the weight, you finally want to be optimized, you want to regain your health, improve your testosterone, you've tried intermittent fasting, calorie restrictions, you've tried the Ozempics, you've tried all these crazy things and nothing's worked, and you want to work with a team of doctors, you've tried it yourself, you're ready to go, fill out the application down below to work with my team and myself. We're a team of medical doctors, and we help entrepreneurs, doctors, CEOs so that they can do it for themselves, their families, and their entire companies. Fill out the application to work with us. But if you don't fall in that category, that is fine. You can watch all of my content on this YouTube channel for free and get the same result. But if you want someone to tell you step by step what to do so you can live longer, feel younger, and move faster, then apply. And the final step, and this is a big mistake I see a lot of people make. Your bedroom has 2 functions. Your bedroom has a function for you to replicate, for you to make some babies. And the second function is to sleep. Something my dad would always do is that he would always play news. He loves watching news. So growing up, I always grew up with a habit with having the TV on. And I always actually thought I need the TV on to fall asleep. White noise. And this is terrible. When you signal to your brain that room has multiple functions for you to work in, for you to party in, or watch TV or watch series, this is actually not great for your sleeping behavior and sleeping patterns. Your room should just function as having a place for you to sleep and to make love. It should have no other function. And you'll find that when you go into bed, your body will just fall asleep because it's primed to do that. We're habitual creatures. And before I finish this video, I want to give you a few extra tips. Something that has been super helpful to me and a problem I still deal with is always charge and keep your mobile devices outside of your room. Why? If you're using your phone before going to bed, it gives you a tremendous amount of dopamine hits. If you're scrolling through social media, dopamine, this happiness hormone, is not going to help you fall asleep. So one thing I always advise people to do is charge your devices outside of your bedroom. Keep it as far from your bedroom as possible. And if you're struggling to fall asleep, then do that. If you've been in bed, 30 minutes have passed and you're starting to get frustrated, get out of bed. Go and do something else. Maybe start cleaning the apartment, stay busy, maybe read a book or do anything, and not an exciting book, just read any book and do something that will help you wind down to get back into bed. But it's at the end of the video, and if you're watching this, it means that losing this weight is very important to you. Around Black Friday, in the past, we do want to invite our clients back to work with us at a discount price. And this is just for our existing clients. We always call them back and say, hey, how are you doing? And most of them are still in amazing shape. And the reason is because they've tackled these foundational habits. Have you ever seen these guys who are like, wow, you got in shape and you stayed like that forever? It wasn't because of a magic pill or some crazy drug that they took or something, unique. Their willpower changed. It's just that they listened to professionals and they just did the basics. Health is also available to you. You just need to do the basics. So yes, once you start sleeping more, you'll notice you don't have as many more cravings. You start getting stronger in the gym. You start eating less because your appetite isn't so high. You also decide that you're making better food choices. You'll be like, you know what, I feel like a steak. I don't feel like a cheesecake today. Hey, actually, I'll skip on dessert. You'll notice that, hey, you know what, I feel quite good. I want to go for a walk. And your behavior just changes fundamentally from sleeping more. And I just want to share this with you guys. Like, share this with someone who's struggling to lose their weight. With every client, there's always been a positive correlation with how much they sleep and how much weight they lose. The same thing with my mom. I said, hey, we're gonna work on your sleep first, because my mom is the same thing with her phone. She's always on her phone, watching on Facebook, looking at telenovelas, and that's all I want for people. I just want them to be better and healthy. I'll leave the video here. Cheers.